Hello, welcome to Topper Machine. I'm Josh Topper, and today is our follow-up video of threading those big bolts, as I called them, or studs is what they really were. I called them bolts in the description and title and stuff just because most of my viewers aren't machinists. I've known that for a long time. You guys enjoy my work, so trying to just keep it simple so everybody understands. And I got called out on that a few times. No big deal. I was just trying to keep it so people can understand and new viewers can find us. So I hope that makes sense to all of you. Now I made a little list of all the topics that I wanted to cover because there were some good questions, some actually really good questions. One of them in particular was about the nut. Why didn't I source a new nut? Well, the customer brought the material, brought the job in, brought the sample, and he ordered new nuts. They weren't in yet. When he come and picked up the shafts or the studs, they were in his truck. We test fit them. They had almost zero movement. I mean, they were spot on, right where they need to be, just beautiful. He was thrilled. So that's why I didn't order nuts, and that's why we didn't make them, because he ordered them. So that problem was not really a problem. It was more a problem. He brought me a junk nut to test fit it, and there was just no way. Thank God the threads were good on the original shaft. They measured good by the wires, and that's our next topic, is the thread wires. Many people suggested, a dab of grease or rubber bands or tape to hold them. On the big threads and the big wires, I generally don't do anything but the tape. The tape is the best one, where you can just put a piece of tape on the two wires and run a loop down to the single wire. That's the best one I've found. But I did buy a new tool. I bought thread measuring triangles, and I've seen Adam Booth use these. These things are awesome. I've yet to try them. And in a few weeks, I'm going to be threading some 3-inch bolts. 3-inch 4 or 3-inch 4.5, I can't remember. So we're going to be doing those, and we'll use the thread triangles on those. Now the movement you were seeing, we saw from the tool pressure, the movement, shoving that back into the headstock. A lot of people suggested clamping something to the bar, set screws into it, or whatever. We don't want to mark it up. So realistically, the best option there would have been to put in the taper adapter and a center into the headstock. But the reason I didn't do that is because I was actually, one at a time, putting it in, doing the center drill in the facing, and then pulling it back out. So I didn't want to put something in and take it out, because with that 3-jaw chuck, I have to pull the chuck off to put that center in and out. So that's kind of why I didn't do that. Not a big deal. And there were some suggestions about threading backwards, flip the tool upside down and run towards the tailstock. That may have worked. I've never done it, but being no thread relief, that would have been tough, because it would have had to feed it in consistently as we started at the thread. So being an extracted thread, the best way was the way I was doing it. Just having a stop in there would have helped. Like I said, a lot of people commented on clamping something, and I just did not feel that was a good option. Another question that I thought was actually really good was a couple of people asked why I cut off that last little bit of the bar, why I don't use that. Well, that's scrap material, basically. What I've found over the years is it's never straight. It's always wavy or whatever, but you look at the end and it's sometimes crunched down a little bit or out around or whatever. The other thing I've found, and this is with 1045 TG&P, turned, ground, and polished, is that end is hard. Extremely hard. I had a job one time here a while back that I had to do some 1045 TG&P shafts, and I was so close on the length of what I had left here that I wanted to just utilize that. Holy crap, that thing was hard. I could barely touch it with a carbide end mill. I mean, I had to cut a keyway in it. It was tough. So one thing I've learned there myself was, like the 1045 TG&P, cut it off a couple inches in. I think it's from the grinding process that they don't get the coolant on it right away and it gets hard there. But in the end of at the end of the day, you know, when you cut off that end of that bar, just you look at it. I mean, you can see it's deformed. It's really not worth using. So that's why we always cut that off. And it also will get it more true to taking, you could almost cut it up, clean it up with one pass after you hit it with the bandsaw. So, you know, it's just good practice, good shop practice. It's not waste, it's just, you know, you're paying for a 12-foot bar. They're usually 12'2", 12'3", somewhere in there. So you got a couple extra inches, you lop it off. That's all that is. Another one that I thought was kind of funny was a few people commented on my final pass, my light pass, that somebody called it a garage door spring that I peeled off with my light pass. That's, you know, you take a little bit heavier pass and you get a better surface finish. So I know a lot of you guys at home have, you know, chintzy little machines that just don't have the rigidity that I have, so you can't really do that, but you're also not doing big threads like I am. So you can take a pretty good cut. Just, you know, you take a really, really light pass, you're not cutting, you're actually tearing the metal. So take a little more and cut the metal. That's what that's about. But I thought that was funny, a light pass. And then I had one comment that, a couple of comments about people, you know, what about your scratch pass? I don't do a scratch pass. I've never done a scratch pass. Your thread gauge, you know, your thread indicator on the machine, your shift levers, everything coincides. If you just set it to that and you double check it, make sure you're in the right engagements. I've never once cut a bad thread because I didn't double check that. So, you know, if it looks funny to you, go back and check your thread chart. Or, you know, sometimes you might measure your thread wrong on your piece that you're copying, just because it's so wore and it won't fit. But always check your, you know, just check your thread chart on your machine and make sure your levers are in the right position. You don't need a scratch pass. I find that to be a complete waste of time. Get the job done, get it out the door, get on to the next job. So just my personal feelings on that. Now, as you can see behind me, we got the mess cleaned up around the mill. There's some fresh chips on the floor, but we got it all cleaned up. I'm waiting on the steel truck to get here for the next batch of pin jaws. We've already pre-sold a bunch. If you're interested, get in on the pre-sale. They'll be shipping around the end of the month. When I get them all done again, the 6-inch, and then we'll probably be starting on the 4-inch and a few 8-inch. So, and I'm also planning on doing some of these 6-inch undrilled so that you can buy them and drill them for your mounting. So they'll still have the pinholes in the top, but they will be undrilled for the mounting. So we'll be around the end of the month when those will be ready to ship. So if you can get your pre-orders in now, that'll kind of help me, you know, figure out where we need to be. We've already sold, I think, 13 sets of the 55 that I'm making. So, you know, please keep the orders coming. That helps pay for the material and the tooling, you know, as we move forward, and can help generate some income to pay for the next ideas. And I'm thinking about like an angle plate or something, just a milled angle plate, you know, milled angle fixture plate, something like that. So I'm thinking about that. It's in the works, kinda. Once we get caught up here with all the pin jaws. And just a sneak peek of Saturday's upcoming video. Yes, the snowblower. I know you've all been waiting for that, so have I. Honest to God, that is so much fun. I'm so happy I bought that thing. I can't believe it worked so well last year that we didn't get to use it. So I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get to use it up until now, but after using it, I absolutely love it. So check out the video. It's kind of long, but it really works great. It's so much fun. We had some problems, and it was kind of touch and go for a little bit in the beginning, but then once we got those problems dialed in, man, it worked great. So check that video out Saturday. There will not be a follow-up to that video, and there will not be a video the following weekend as I'm working on the pin jaws, so be advised of that. It'll be 2 weeks before we get another video out, and hopefully by then we'll have another job in here that's good to film. So with that, till next time, get out in your shop and get it done right the first time.